Alright, well, welcome to Otaku News Live for March 28th, 2011, where we are honored to have a large group, and in particular with us today is Ed Sizemore from the Manga Out Loud podcast and many other things. Welcome very much to the show, Ed.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, it's great having you on here. Also got Matt Dixon from the Life and Tims of Anime. Welcome, Matt.
Hello! It's always a pleasure to be here. How are you all?
Doing fine, doing fine. And Miniman, thank you for joining us as well. How's it going?
Trifle.
Fair enough. And Zan from Otaku Underground, thank you for joining us as well. How are things with you?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to ONL. Rising Zan here, and everything's going great in the Otaku Underground. In fact, today we just did a little show with me and Matt for Life and Tims of Anime, and I made a clever little joke. You know, Otaku Underground Otaku Underground video goes deeper. How else do you think they found me?
There we go. Nice.
It's a pun.
And thank you also for joining us, Brad. How are you doing today, Brad?
Great. It's great to be here. For those who don't know, I'm Brad, and no, I do not work for NASA.
That is correct. No.
The man that handles the money.
He is. What very little there is of it. Okay, so moving on to the news of the week. Probably the biggest news story of the week is that we finally have a license for Angel Beats. Sentai Filmworks has announced, yes indeed, that they have got the rights. They're going to be dubbing it, releasing it on DVD and Blu-ray, and it will premiere at Anime Boston at the end of April, which is pretty darn soon. So I think that's pretty darn cool and pretty darn surprising.
And if you listen very closely, you can hear all of the Western world cheering in joy. And then some of them just going, shit.
No, it's literally just me going, no! Just please show the first and last episode. Just of them, leave the others be. Actually, it's interesting because I actually have some Sentai Works anime. One of my favorites is they actually subbed Gintama. Not dubbed, just subbed because honestly, you can't mess with the Japanese dub with that show. I'm excited for Angel Beats. The dub, however, I'll definitely be waiting in anticipation. I have no idea how they're going to do TK, though, which worries me because he was my favorite character.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
For those maybe give him like a New York accent or something.
For those who don't know, TK is a Japanese guy who only speaks English. But it's only
I thought he was an American guy who just spoke.
Come on, let's dance!
Come on, let's dance!
If he is, then that's Japanese, heavily Japanese accented English.
Yeah, he's supposed to be American, but they had a Japanese voice actor for him, and it just didn't work out quite like they wanted it to.
Yeah, fair enough.
No one knows where he's from, who he is, or anything.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage that.
I still have to say, though, that I got a lot of flack from my old channel before I got deleted for naming Angel Beats my most disappointing anime of 2010. Why is that, man? It was not what you wanted, was it? You get advertised
exactly what I wanted.
About people did, and you think there's going to be this awesome storyline, and you get this brilliant first episode, a second episode that contrasts it wonderfully with some great dark and light-hearted moments. And then what do you get? You get schizophrenic character development, you get some absolutely stupid additions to plot lines, and also it cheats.
The thing there is, to me, that character development is exactly what I was looking for. I was not looking for slow, steady character development. I wanted lots of different things happening. I thought that was telegraphed in the first episode and two, that things are bouncing around all over the place.
But it's just like with a few episodes together, they panic and just get rid of everyone in just, kind of... They didn't even give us a montage. Yeah. I want to see what these characters are feeling to get them out of it.
Well, but that's final episode, though. That's not just that's not the entire thing.
Well, hang on a second, Brett. Actually, I do agree with Mayman partly that basically they kept 5 characters, and then the rest are like, oh, they're just comic relief. No one cares about them. TK included, by the way. Because you have all these characters that are part of the team, and then they just kind of throw them out last episode. No one knows what happens to them.
But how much time can you spend with like 13 characters in 13-episode anime series? You know,
1 character for each episode. Let's go Bakano. Let's go Durarara.
It is incredibly hard, and if you do that, you don't go deep into any of them. That's my issue.
So they were way too ambitious with the group. Smaller group.
Yeah,
I disagree, because we get interesting stuff about those core characters. We're able to go really deep into those characters. The other characters we go into enough to understand bits and pieces about them.
Yeah, why do you need to know so much about all these side characters? That's kind of the purpose of a side character. You don't know everything about them. They're just on the sidelines.
What I picked up from Angel Beats was they weren't trying to focus on the characters as much as originality.
True.
I got what I was looking for. I got an original story.
Yeah.
Per se.
That's true.
Originality. Haruhi.
And now for Ed's opinion.
Just sit down. The man is about to speak.
Well, I haven't seen any of the Angel Beat stuff, so.
Don't worry, neither have I.
Ed's opinion.
Yeah, you're complaining.
So.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I stick to pretty much like Crunchyroll and Hulu, so I haven't had a chance to look through any of that stuff yet.
That's a very interesting point. One of my concerns is, I mean, Haruhi came out and tanked in sales in America because everyone had already watched it online. You know, it was one of those shows that everyone had pirated already, unfortunately.
Because idiots don't realize once you've watched it and enjoyed it, you buy it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the things I'm concerned about with Angel Beats. That's one of those things I think a lot of folks watch it and they're not going to go out and buy these DVDs.
One of the main concern one of the main concerns is, you know, the classic concern that's always, if it's going to get dubbed, half of the fans, you know, I'm drawing like half the fans won't like it. Simple as, just because it's a dub. You know, we've already got that stereotype that dubs are awful. But you know, a lot of people, you know, there's always a chance that a dub will fail. You know, dubs aren't always that great. So we've got, you know, people will buy the DVD and then there'll just be this massive furore about how awful the dub was and how they totally didn't capture the hearts of the characters, which happens a lot. And you know, that's the only thing I'm really concerned about with anything that's getting dubbed, you know.
Yeah.
Well, problem is it's going to have a sub. I know Sentai, they always have subs with their work, so no excuses there.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm actually looking forward to the dub.
Yeah.
I actually want to, because I like to see, because even though there are all these characters, I do want to see if any of the dubbers actually take on the role differently. I'm interested to see how that goes. And if TK suddenly starts spouting Japanese instead of English,
that would
be interesting. What's actually what TK did?
I'm just more looking forward to the trolls of watching the trolls on the forums saying how bad the dub was. That's the only thing I'm looking forward to with the dub.
and that's the problem, is that, you know, ultimately, you know, folks are going to hear that and say, oh, well, I'm not going to buy the DVDs. Even though there's a sub on there, there's still,
they don't have an excuse, however weak it is.
I'll be getting it out of obligation. I've watched the entire show. I need to get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of
yeah. One more thing I want to say, though, is $10 to get Wendy Lee to play Haruhi.
You mean Yorubay?
Whatever.
Yeah, I sure hope they do. That would be the one.
Yeah, I'll clarify and say I meant originality and plot. There is character resemblance.
I mean, no. The originality of the character came in episode 13 because no one's ever shifted that much in one episode before. I don't like you all. I love you. Being unconscious has taught me so much.
Just in defense of Angel Beats there, though, with the whole Europe is Haruhi thing. I mean, yes, she looks exactly like Haruhi, but at the same time, yes, she acts like Haruhi, but so do a million other characters on the planet.
I know. I just
acts like Haruhi. You know, it's not uncommon. You know, Haruhi's personality is in classic English literature. It's not original there. You know, so
I just like making fun of it. I just like making fun of it just because it's.
I also have to agree with Matt, though. There is a Haruhi archetype, so to speak.
Yeah,
archetypes.
Definitely.
The thing is, though, I was always curious to. The thing that annoyed me is I want to find how these people died. I want to. I like throughout the whole series, I was going, just show me Europei's death. I want to see what happened.
The thing is, though, I think that's kind of a key thing. And for those who aren't familiar, the creator of Angel Beats was one of the key persons in the studio Key, who does visual novels like Clannad and Canon and Air and the others. And the thing is, their plots typically do not give you all the backstory. They will give you some bits and pieces, but they won't explain everything. So I think that's just kind of the way. And I'm not defending it. I'm not saying that was the right choice. I'm just saying I think that's just the way they do their stories.
I just think, in my opinion, I just wish I had sort of maybe just more focus, more complete characters in some sense. I mean, again, this is more I was hoping for, but it did seem to me like they came up with this really good original idea, and then just gave me these really weird filler episodes. I want, sure, Angel fighting with herself is interesting, but don't give me half an episode of, they caught a giant fish first.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that was at the very end, though. One thing I wanted to say is, did anyone here watch the OVA of Angel Beats?
No.
Yes, and that was actually one of
that was my favorite episode
I've ever seen.
That was the best episode ever.
Well, because it was the good comedy episode.
Yeah, it was a great episode. All right,
Okay.
moving on
to the news.
So moving on, J-Manga, the news site from a whole bunch of Japanese publishers, has finally gone into limited sort of lockdown beta, and so you can go right now to jmanga.com, just all one word, jmanga.com, and you can look at a very lovely blue background, pretty much, is about all you can do there, and sign up for a mailing list. This includes, my goodness, basically every manga publisher in Japan, practically speaking. How many are on this list? I mean, we've got Shogakukan, Shonen Gahosha, Tokuma Shoten, ASCII Media Works, Bonkasha Publishing, Kodansha, of course, Kanekawa Shoten. It's just everyone. And when the site goes live, as I mentioned in Blade News Corner, it's going to include, get ready, Claymore, Bakuman, D. Greyman, Toriko, Naruto, Bleach, Devil King, Rosario Vampire, One Piece, Rurouni Kenshin, Dragon Ball Z, With Delight, Raising an Autistic Child, Tableau Gate, Survival Another Story, Yagyu, Dragon Girl, Samurai Harem, Asano Yuichi, Town of Evening Calm Country of Cherry Blossoms, is a manga about survivors of Hiroshima, Crime and Punishment, Crayon Shinchan, Hitohira, and Death Note, amongst many others. So, wow, this is like everything.
Is there
every
any
single anime that was ever on TV and popular?
Pretty much.
Is there any data on how many people have signed up for the newsletter, how many people are interested? Because I'm interested to see how many people want to get into this, how to work out.
Very good question. There's no information of that on the site right now.
It's kind of in closed beta right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The interesting thing is that, Brent, you said in the news that this is going to be offering royalties to people that, translate. Or, ask
no,
people to translate.
that's a different one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's me not paying attention then. Bonus!
So, Ed, what are your thoughts on this?
That's an amazing lineup, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ed's opinion of the week.
All right. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, Ken Akamatsu seems to be doing pretty well with his site.
Yeah.
Where he put up Love Hina and some other stuff. And I think, Renee has done well. Actually, Renee is, I think, one of the ones I like to point people to now, because not only, is it simulcasting, but the books are selling really well in the States. So this idea that if you read it free online, people aren't going to buy it, is kind of being disproven, which is great, because I want to give people that opportunity to get the stuff as quickly as possible, to kind of cut out that middleman piracy, and then get to the money into the hands of the creators.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it and see. I mean, I was very impressed with Akamatsu's site. It had just really nice, high quality stuff. The only one that I think has been disappointing has been Square Enix.
Yes. Definitely.
So yeah, I'm kind of interested when they go live. I'll check them out. Unfortunately for me, I'm not a fan of reading stuff on the screen, and that might change if I get like a tablet PC where I have a little bit more control over the viewing, as opposed to trying to play with a laptop to read stuff.
Yeah. I actually really agree with that bit. Yeah, because you read manga or stuff like that, or preferably you read it. Commuting or sitting down, just chilling in as comfortable a way as you can. With a laptop or a computer, or sat in front of a computer, you can't exactly do that. You can't be 100% as comfortable as you could be, completely slouching on a chair with a manga in your lap. It's like, I only really read my manga now commuting to college. So, it might take off, it depends on the kind of people they're aiming it at, rather than just the, just like pumping out manga. They've got to pick specific mangas to make sure that the people dedicated are going to be on it. Because again, you like to read, you like to be comfortable when you read it. Sat at a computer screen, can't do that, and staring at a computer screen, bad for your eyes.
What's also interesting about this? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ed.
No, I was just going to say, they picked a really good lineup. It's all the popular series, so you're going to get a ton of the page views. What's nice is if it does well, then hopefully they'll start doing some of the more obscure stuff. I'd love to see a lot of seinen stuff get over here.
Yeah.
That'd definitely be nice.
No kidding. Actually, that's one of the interesting things about this. When you look at this list of titles, these are all the titles where if you do a search on these names, like the first 5 entries are all, read this free online, fans. So I think they're very clearly picking the ones that are heavily pirated, so that there now is a legitimate source. I also wonder, to be honest, we've seen this happen before, where these companies will put out a legitimate service, and then they can now kind of go after the pirates more legitimately. Well, it's not legitimately, but at the very least, they can now go in front of a judge and say, there is now legal versions, so these guys need to get shut down. So I wonder if this also isn't kind of a move in that direction, so that they can go after them more.
Yeah, it probably is.
The one thing I wanted to bring up, though, about Ed mentioned that it's a really great lineup. Yes, it's a really great lineup, but that will affect the page views in an adverse way, because, they're a great lineup because they're already really popular. So that means people have already bought them. So a lot of people, it's like most of the real fans will have already bought it. It will be, I know there's still a large margin that haven't bought it and are just reading it online, but they're not going to get as much views as they're hoping for, because it's like, we picked Dragon Ball Z, everyone's going to read it. No, they're not, because most people have already bought it. Kind of thing,
Well,
I'd read Dragon Ball, honestly, I would. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dragon Ball, what's amazing with Dragon Ball, you take a series like Dragon Ball, and, every 5 years, they put out a new edition of it. So people still buy this thing, and I think, for sake, at this point, who's buying Dragon Ball that hasn't read it and wants to read it?
Well, it's Dragon Ball GT3S1 4.
Well, it's like people buying it in hopes that their children will read it at some point.
I think it's what Adam Sheehan says from Funimation. He says, the great thing about Dragon Ball Z is that there are new 8-year-olds being, becoming 8 years old every year. So they keep getting folks who stumble across the Dragon Ball Z thing and say, this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen in my life. So, for some reason, it's
honestly, I would read Dragon Ball online just because I've, funny story. So I watched the Dragon Ball anime while I was on Toonami, while that was still going. And I thought, hey, for Christmas I'm going to get my little brother the first volume of Dragon Ball. I went to Borders, I went to see it, and I basically wrapped it up, gave him for Christmas. He wasn't interested, so I'm like, yeah, well, he's not going to read it, I will. It's dirty as hell.
This is the original Dragon Ball?
The original manga Dragon Ball. They censored it. It's all heck in the end. Oh my god. Let's just say that we Americans aren't the first one to make the Dragon Balls are testicles joke.
No kidding.
Akira Toriyama beat us to the punch with that one.
Actually, I'm curious. Ed, you mentioned Renee, which intrigued me, because I got the impression that Renee certainly was not a mega hit, and I'm curious, what's kind of the story behind Renee? How, did that start not going well and it's been spinning up, or what?
Well, I know initially I haven't been keeping up with the series myself. I started reading it, and it just felt like a lot of rehash of like Ramna for me.
Yeah, same here.
And so I read, I think, probably online what would be considered the first book's worth of material, and then kind of dropped it. I've been seeing other reviewers have said that it's picked up, that it's starting to change direction.
Okay.
So this, I mean, it's a great example again. For manga, it might take 3 or 4 books before the mangaka kind of figures out what she wants to do with something.
Yeah.
And you see that with a lot of stuff, particularly the long-running stuff. And now I'm blanking on the artist's name. Anyways, she's infamous for writing 30-plus volume series. So if it takes her to volume 5 to get going, that would be fine for her.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing on it is showing up on the New York Times bestseller list, and
wow, yeah.
God only knows how they're doing those calculations, but because they did have an explanation, but particle physics seemed to be better to understand. So
yeah. Well, I always thought the New York Times bestseller list was basically how many copies had the publisher printed.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't sales necessarily. It was just the publisher has printed X copies, and it's more than most. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's always my favorite on a book cover when it says 1 million in print, not 1 million sold. So I go, well, wow, that's great. That means there are warehouses filled with your book, and nobody's bought it. So
yeah, exactly.
But I think it's picking up steam. So. Like I said, it seems like a lot of people said that it's the last volume seems to have been turned to tide for them. So it's actually something I'm thinking about. I might have to go pick up like the new volume and see what they're talking about.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, this is by Rumiko Takahashi, who did Ranma 1/2 and Inuyasha, and the major anime of like each of the past 3 decades is kind of hers. And Renee is her most recent stuff, and it just didn't, it's been surprising that it really hasn't been, this big runaway success immediately.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have an anime either, though, so
true,
that might be part of it too.
Yeah. Why not? Do you think?
I think part of it might just have been that people weren't sure. If it was going to be successful. Again, like I said, because it really did read like her taking a step back from Inuyasha.
Yeah.
And so I think people were like, oh my God, is this going to be some kind of weird version of Ramna again? And like I said, if the next couple of volumes continue where she's exploring some new ground for her, then I think we could see people picking up and doing an anime. Because you're right, her big 3 hits just sell tons and tons of merchandise. So I can't imagine people giving up that opportunity. Yeah. It's amazing. Like Urusei Yatsura, they come out with new stuff every year, and you're talking a property that's now 30 years old.
Yeah.
That people still buy merchandise left and right for in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stunning.
Yeah. My thing for my thing for Renee is that it's basically. It's Bleach. Not all of it, but like the general premise. Well, there's a Soul Reaper. He's now on Earth with this girl. It's Bleach. Bleach, the first arc, roles reversed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And that was the issue.
Yeah.
And I think what's kind of stunning is the fact that you have somebody who knows how to make manga almost in her bones. And the fact that she comes out with something that seems so derivative early on was just for me very surprising. That she would do that, and like Ed says, I think that's partly just she's confident enough that she's like, I don't care what you all think, I'm going to do what I want to do, and so it starts off derivative, and that's that's totally fine.
Well, but there's one I will give her credit for one scene in the first volume that I actually was really floored by, and that is the Wheel of Reincarnation image.
That was nice, yeah.
That was amazing, and I thought. Because you're right. your first thought is, oh my God, is she going to try to do a Bleach ripoff? But when you see that Wheel of Reincarnation, you realize, oh, wait a minute, this isn't. Oh, let's take a little bit of Buddhism and let's throw in some Christianity, and then we'll throw in some fantasy role playing, and blah, blah. This is like Now let's stick with the Buddhist theory.
Yeah.
Let's really do the wheel of reincarnation. So, in one sense, I kind of like the fact that she's keeping it a lot more culturally pure than Bleach was.
True.
Yeah, definitely.
Very true.
Well, the thing about Bleach is, it started with direction and then it just went on and on. Bleach is one of those things which is proof that money is the root of all evil, because it's sort of like, it was great, and then they threw money at it.
Well, it's at least the root of bad manga or any sort of entertainment. We know that much.
One of the three
thing is, you can so tell that he got to the third series and was just like, okay, let's see, rescue Rukia. End it here. Oh my god, Taikibo, they love you. Make Aizen a big conspiracy theory and make it go on forever.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, honestly, TK can't write himself out of a paper bag. I've been saying this over and over again. If you read his first manga work, it's Trigun. It is Trigun, but the guy has a sword. And also how he ends it, because, obviously it didn't do well. Was just pitiful. It was like he threw all this stuff at us almost in like a fit of tantrum.
Money is the reason.
If you didn't draw crosshatch, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, money is the reason that Death Note has the same storyline twice. I mean, because they by the 5th volume it had gotten so big, they were like, hey, you got to continue it. I know that you guys had planned to end it at volume 6, but you got to do something. And then they said, it's just one of those ideas where it's like, I don't know what we're going to write about. Well, let's just do it again. Okay.
Yeah, do it again.
Do it with children. That'll make it popular.
At least the people with Bleach came up with crap new stories rather than just doing the same thing again.
Well, no, actually they didn't. That's the thing, though. They didn't. Bleach, it's the same story over again, Rescue Rukia,
Rescue
Orihime.
Yeah.
Exactly. Instead of rescuing Rukia, it's rescuing Orihime. Instead of from Soul Reapers, it's from demons. Same thing.
Now demons have to possess extremely similar abilities to Soul Reapers as well.
But let's give credit for one series. And that is One Piece, which is, at volume, 56 in America. At least it's still really good. I mean, this is a guy who, when you tell somebody, look, each volume gets better, and you're like, seriously? Come on. You're at volume 56. It can't be. He's a hack. He's got to be just cranking out. You're like, I'm telling you. Read it. Every volume you'll be like, how do you do that? How do you get better when you're this far in the game?
Yeah.
So, it's true. You get a lot of people, and Rumiko Takahashi is really bad for this too. If you've ever read the entire run of Ramna, after about volume 10, it just becomes, okay, what weird style of karate can I introduce in this chapter to have them
Pretty much. Pretty much.
It's like a TV show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a good example. You first.
No, I was just saying. So, it's nice to see somebody who can write, this insane epic. And you're really hanging on your seat, going, I can't wait to see where the next volume goes, where the next story arc is. And like one that threw me for a loop, and I was really happy for, is when he takes it down a notch with the thriller Bark, and just kind of goes back for light comedy in there. And I was like, God, this is just so funny, man.
Honestly, I liked Ain's Lobby though. Ain's Lobby was just like so powerful and just like Luffy got his ass kicked. He got his ass kicked with Eneru and all those other guys, but like I think this time it's like, we're the Navy, don't screw with us or we will f you up. And and like the Navy does some really evil shit sometimes. Just wow, I love the Ain's Lobby arc. Just really good arc. Really good arc.
Cool.
In the Navy, you can go and beat Luffy in the Navy.
Also, do you want to go, man? I just want to say one thing about the Ain's Lobby arc. It was the only manga that made me cry about a boat.
Yes. Oh yes. And people, you know what? It's funny because when we had done a manga movable feast, and at the end of that we'd done a podcast where I was talking to Erica Friedman and some other people, and one of the brilliant things is they said, we can tell you what the plot of this story is, and you still won't be ready for it.
Wow.
You know, because and they were right, because at that point I had not read about the boat yet. I won't go into too much of a spoiler, but they're like, they said, and I said, unfortunately I saw some spoilers online, so I know about the boat, and they're like, yeah, but wait, you're still gonna cry like a baby when it happens. And sure enough, man, it was like, I'm crying over a boat, man. This is brilliant writing right here. You know?
Yeah. It is a nice boat, though. That's a nice boat.
Yeah.
All right. So so much praise for One Piece. Impressive stuff. All right. So let's see what else we've got here. So this was an interesting one, sort of kind of left field. The anime Scryed, which got a lot of attention when it first came out, and then it's kind of nosedived in popularity. It's 10 years old now, and the official website has announced that they're going to launch with a special edition, which will re-edit the original TV anime series. Now, we don't know how or in what format or what it'll look like or anything, whether this will be online or DVD or whatever. But it's pretty unusual for folks to go back and say, not only are we reissuing a series, we're going to re-edit it and rework it. That's pretty surprising.
So what does that mean? You know, when it says re-edit, it kind of gives me the image of them just totally changing a lot of the anime.
I don't know.
From the ground roots.
Is it more of a Ghost in the Shell to Ghost in the Shell 2.0 kind of thing?
Could be. Although, Scryed isn't big enough to do that for.
It might be that they've noticed that it nosedived and they're trying to say, like, check it out again.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Honestly, I did like Cry ED, especially since it was one of the many anime that I watched like halfway. Like I started at the halfway point because I was a kid, Adult Swim. I could only watch when I could, and I liked it pretty much only because of the shonen punching stuff, though. But some of the religious symbolism was just really like, wait, what?
I am very. It wasn't too long ago I saw it. Only like the first episode. I'm like, oh, this was big a while ago. I'll check it out. I tried watching the first episode. I'm like, it just didn't interest me. It didn't catch my eye, so I don't know too much about it.
Well, see, and I watched it when I was just starting in my to become an anime fan.
Okay.
So I caught it on Adult Swim when it was running, and it was one of those things where it's like it's from Japan and it's free, so I'll watch it. Which kind of explains Outlaw Star too, I think, for a lot of people. It's free, it's from but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think for editing. I mean, there's some slow part. I mean, they could do like a Kai version of it, where they could cut out a lot of the just kind of. Oh my God, we've got to do this week's episode. We have 22 minutes of airtime to fill.
Yeah.
Let's fill some stuff up. I mean, but I remember the battle scenes were pretty good.
Well, I guess my question more is why?
Yeah.
What's pushing them to re-release its 10th anniversary and re-edit it, not just dump it out there on the market?
Because they were bored.
Can I say something?
Sure.
With editing, I actually recently been watching. Nozomi's been streaming like 2 episodes every 2 weeks of Irresponsible Captain Tyler re-edited. And what happened was, back in the 90s and 80s, where anime sounds different than how it does now.
Yeah.
That's how it was kind of re-edited with Captain Tyler. So I watched some of the old how it was back in there are little streams of the English dub online, and it sounds a little bit off. But I'm watching the same voice actors, the same lines, and it just sounds better, like the quality of the sound.
So it's just like one of the digital remastering kind of things?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's possible. They're probably just remastering it. I mean, I don't know much about what they do to edit something, though.
Well, that's the thing, is that, you're going to tick off the original fans, of which there are 10, and it's like, what are you doing this for? It could well be that they're looking at it and saying, hey, this is a fun shonen series. We have the opportunity to bring in new fans. We know there are problems, like you guys said, and let's go back in and fix the more obvious ones, and we have the chance to, let's be honest, they're not going to make, massive amounts of money or spawn a franchise here. But hopefully they can get sort of a new generation in, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe it's just that they're trying to also make just some money. I mean, there's that case of they're not going to get loads.
Mm-hmm.
But let's face it. I mean, in the case of what apparently it may be now, they're just remastering it and putting it on DVD, and if it sells, it sells.
Yeah.
And when it sells, it just regains its profit. It's like sort of taking away £100, so then there's the possibility that you're going to get some more. It's basically what they did with Grave of the Fireflies. They just remastered that, sent it out again, and here we are. Everyone knows Grave of the Fireflies.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out why you would pick up this series, because, I mean, it's not one of the great series. But the only thing I think
probably just that kind of thing that it's there. We can do it.
Right.
It has a chance to make some money. Let's do it.
Well, I'm just wondering if this is maybe a kind of a reaction to Moe being so popular. Because there's been a lot of discussion of where is the sci-fi anime that got me hooked. That that I watched in the late '90s and the early 2000s. And so S. Cryad is not a great series, but it is sci-fi.
And it ain't Moe.
It does have that shonen appeal.
Yeah.
So you can throw it out there and you say, look, if you're sick of watching, the latest Let's Grope My Sister anime, you've got this one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the other thing too is I just looked in. Scryad was done by Sunrise and Bandai, and Bandai is flush with cash. So it could also be a matter of these things and the fact that we're not going to go under if this fails. So we can go ahead and do it, and we'll see what happens.
How about if you heard that Funimation were doing this? That'd be stuff. Bandai, we own everything.
It'd be better if Funimation did do it, and then somehow it got incredibly popular.
Yes.
Just out of some sheer freak coincidence, because then everyone would have to stop judging Funimation.
I want to hear some idiot go to Bandai and just go, oh, wait, if you're remastering this, then why aren't you remastering Dragon Ball Z for the 80,000th time?
They remastered it. They just put a new cover on the DVD and throw it at people. Remastering is for chumps. We'll just put a new picture on there and people will buy it.
And Adam Sheehan said that
you thought that Cell would be the cover. It's Frieza.
Must blog now.
Quickly, Twitter.
Apparently, the running joke around Funimation is every time they put out a new edition of Dragon Ball Z, they always call it, "This is the ultimate edition of Dragon Ball Z," until the next one.
The ultimate edition of the ultimate edition with the expertly made ultimate edition. You so know they're going to do a 3D one.
Oh,
so know it's going to come.
They've got to.
It's happening. It will happen.
Dragon Ball Z in 3D. If I could,
in the next 10 years, you'll see Kamehamehas coming towards you, with the new 4D feature, which will burn your face off.
There we go.
Or it will just Kamehameha.
Okay, so moving on. So this was sort of a news item that I don't think Crunchyroll actually wanted to announce, but too bad. Their app basically has little sliders to allow you to get notifications of new episodes of an anime out there. And their app updated recently with a bunch of shows from next season, which kind of suggests that they're going to license them and bring them out. We're not sure. This could just be them doing preventative measures, and it's one of those things where it could be these are the ones they're exploring, so they put them into the app for the time being. Who knows? But the titles are Blue Exorcist, A Bridge to the Stars, Dead Man Wonderland, Hanasaku Iroha, Lotte no Omocha, Nichijo, Sekai Ichi Hatsukoi, Sket Dance, and Under the Innocent Sky. So that's...
So not the one with 30-year-old head.
God
damn it.
So
I liked how you got more and more Japanese as you went on, and then suddenly got very American with the last two titles. The way you read them.
Actually, funny enough, Nichijo, I think it's an OVA because I've already watched the first episode of it. And
it's episode 0 came out.
Yep, it's really good.
Nichijo is the new slice of life from KyoAni.
Yep.
Slice of life, really?
from what they said.
It's kind of slice of life. It's got some weird elements to it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a talking cat and a little infant doctor and a cyborg with a wind-up key in her back. Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
All things you find in real life.
Exactly.
I have a cyborg doctor. It's brilliant.
It's not something great, groundbreaking, but it's like a little shoot back to Lucky Star that'll catch your attention for a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also very lighthearted in a way, but yeah, it's definitely a very Lucky Star-ish. I'm just excited for Skip Dance, yay!
What is?
It's like, woo! It's pretty much Gintama, but in high school and different characters.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes, Stan has told me I have to watch this.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Forcing me.
and for what it's worth, that's interesting that it is linking me to somewhere I didn't expect to be linked. Yes, that's Lotte no Omocha. That is the one with the 10-year-old succubus. So we are going to be getting that on Crunchyroll.
Oh, yes!
Yeah.
I am curious as to why Crunchyroll chose that one.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to watch it. That's what they chose.
Crunchyroll knows that they have sickos.
Yeah. There we go.
What, do they know Miniman's there?
Yeah.
Well,
Wait a minute, no, wait. Crunchyroll haven't licensed Phantom, so they don't know I'm there.
I know they licensed some pretty darn ecchi stuff, though. I'm trying to think what...
Did they license Satoshi Mono?
I think so. Yeah.
Alright, then yeah, I can expect it from them.
Wait, what's the name of the one with the succubus?
Lotte no Omocha or Astorote no Omocha.
Okay. Because I know that I'm planning on only watching 3, which is Nichijou, that one with the succubus, because it sounds awesome.
And the 30-year-old Otaku one.
Yeah.
And yes, the 30-year-old man one, because that's the sort of anime I enjoy watching, everyone. Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Which, I'm trying to figure out which one that one is.
I don't know what it's called. It's like How to Live Your Life if you're 30 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
No, a 30-year-old man's guide to romance, love, and everything else.
That was it, yes.
Yes.
Which, okay. Thank you, Japan. Moving on.
Thank you.
Actually,
You're saying that's bad. We've got a show about a 10-year-old succubus.
Isn't it great that I'm watching both as well?
You're gonna be able to watch, like, this is for the fans. Hello, future people. Just go back and watch all the starting episodes with Miniman involved, and just watch him get more and more insane and perverted as the show goes on.
Well, the other thing is, all you have to do is watch this Lotte no Omocha series, and you get a free visit from the FBI. So it's all good.
Satan comes to your house and welcomes you to his round table.
No, I'm just joking.
Brett probably has been red flagged by the FBI because of the links to his site.
Well, yeah, that's right. You watch it and then you can't figure out why they won't let you be an elementary school teacher anymore.
Exactly.
I probably will watch the first episode just to check it out.
I'm on the same boat as you.
Well, and to be honest, I've heard that basically, that is the premise, but the storyline is that basically this girl lives with this guy, and there's nothing sexual about it at all. Yeah, which makes it all fine. So yeah, it's very, very
He
strange.
just happens to be that one bloke that the succubus doesn't want to lure and steal his soul by having sex with him at 10 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We should also mention that in the preview, it also talked about that she needs semen to survive.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So
how can you do that without being sexual? I don't see that.
I don't know, but apparently that is
cool.
the premise.
Yeah, I'm surprised if they were that, ballsy to actually say that.
Yeah.
It's not like he needs the life force of men, i.e. semen, to survive. It's she needs semen.
Yeah.
There's no beat around the bush.
Yeah.
She needs semen.
Yeah.
Bang on.
You like the blue girl.
I don't know.
No.
This is for the fans of the blue girl.
And this is what worries me, is that this is not a good thing for Otaku. This is not helping our industry at all.
Yeah.
So can we please not have these things? Sorry.
This anime definitely makes me question where the hell the Tokyo Youth Ordinance Bill went.
Actually, that's a good question. Ed, you know better than us. Has that gone into effect? I've heard that's not being enforced yet.
No, I think April 1st is when it's supposed to go into effect.
Okay.
But they would have developed the series before that was even passed.
Right.
Yeah. So just barely missed it.
So I don't know what they're gonna do with that. I guess maybe they'll call it man candy. No, it's not semen. It's man candy. It's a special brand of candy.
Right.
Well, no,
need mayonnaise.
You're right. They will come up with some contrivance, and the contrivance, outside of the anime will just be, yeah, but she's not actually 10 years old. She's a demon, and demons live forever. She's actually 2 million years old.
Right.
And it's like, no, she's 10 years old. She looks 10 years old. She is 10 years old. There is no beating around the bush. She's 10 years old.
You complained about dancing the vampire bun, didn't you? Do you have problems with dancing the vampire bun? Because you're one of those people.
I don't think
You
I've
must be if you're saying that.
I don't even know the synopsis of Dancing the Vampire Band.
Well, there is a lot of
vampire. Although don't watch the animation streams. They cut everything out.
The manga is just as bad too, because I read the first couple volumes of the manga, and it's like, yes, she looks 8, and I don't care if you tell me she's 800. She's 800 years old.
Yeah.
That's not the reason the guys are unzipping their pants. Okay, it's because she's 8.
Yeah.
Has this let's just call it Doom from Demons, the 10-year-old thing, has it been, any sort of other medium beforehand, like a really, really freaky dating sim? When you take on the role of the person getting banged?
It was a manga.
A manga, I thought as much.
Let me see if I can just...
thank you, Japan,
let me see if I can
ruining the image of otakus in the West.
So just so it's clear to everyone, I'm throwing up on the live stream the promotional image for the show. And yes, that is your... that is your 200-year-old vampire right there. So just in case you're curious, that's pretty darn clear.
I'd just like to say, though, that with this whole sort of demon that looks younger than she is old, getting involved in sexual situations, have you noticed, though, that when it's Japan, people, even if it's extremely light-heartedly premised on the idea, people overreact, yet no one complained when Let the Right One In came out.
I recall there being some complaints about Let the Right One In.
Well, there was complaints about a 1-second scene.
I'm just also looking at the spring lineup, and I noticed that the No Quasar got a second season, and that's another one that.
Isn't that wonderful?
That sickens me. Yeah. That's a manga. I reviewed the first volume and said that it was a waste of space on the shelves. So.
Yeah, are you feeling okay? Do you still have your intestines after reading that? I mean, come on.
What makes it worse for me is I'm actually an Orthodox Christian. So I was reading this going, okay, well, first, you don't know what Christians are. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Second, you don't know what Orthodoxy is because you think we're Catholics. And I was like, oh, and then, by the way, the obsession with breast, thanks. And so at the end of the manga, at the end of volume 1, at least the author's really honest, and he just says, well, I really like breast, and I was trying to figure out a way to do something with breast, and I was like, well, you won. Okay.
I like breasts. What can I do to make the public know I like breasts? Instead of going out manga public and make a manga.
And also,
that's awesome. I respect that guy.
This is what's hilarious.
Why does this remind me of?
Is that over here, if we like breasts, we just sort of do. Over there, they then draw a 10-volume manga series about breasts. It's just crazy.
They write a dissertation about the firmness.
At least it's not as bad as the 25-episode 6-minute series about panty shots, aka colorful.
From the creators.
So please move on. Enough with
Yeah, all right, yeah. Time to move on. And yes, this podcast will be rated 18+. Okay.
Wait, the 18+.
So speaking of honestly, seriously, thank you, Japan. 43 manga creators have gotten together to hold a charity auction or a charity sale in Utsunomiya for Japanese disaster victims, which is pretty awesome. It is being...
Can I list some of these people off?
Sure.
Okay, we got Rumiko Takahashi, Ranma Half, Inuyasha, that kind of... We've got Monkey Punch, the creator of Lupin the Third. And we got Yuri Tamagao, the creator of Kinnikuman. For those of you who haven't read Kinnikuman, it's awesome. I love Kinnikuman. And, of course, the guy who wrote this awesome picture for this charity is the one, the only, Tetsuya Chiba, the creator of Ashita no Joe.
Yeah, man.
I have so not heard of any of these.
I haven't even read the entire Ashita no Joe series, but I'm at like chapter 75 or something. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's got this ridiculous group. So 43 different manga creators over in Japan doing. One thing I'm not clear on is exactly what format this will take. Whether it's going to be like an auction or whether they're going to be selling off stuff like that. But still, pretty darn cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If you have 43 artists, there's probably going to be a lot of commission stuff going on. Like, please draw me this.
Yeah. I really like Tetsuya Chiba's picture for the thing. He got the cast of Ashita no Joe behind him, and he's like yelling with his pen. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, now, as a corollary, I'll say, and I'm really bad with names, so but the guy who did Vagabond, who has, if you've been following his Twitter feed, has been doing these Smiles portraits. He's been doing them on his iPad.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been really amazing, and he has put them all together now into a postcard book, and they're going to be putting those on sale in bookstores in Japan.
Cool.
I think next week or within a couple weeks, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to get my hands on a couple of these because well, I mean, they're really nice, and I love what he did, and so I'd like to get a couple of sets to give out as gifts to people because they're really nice, and of course, all the money's going to charity funds too. So.
Yeah, it's one of the frustrating things about a lot of these things is that it's really hard to find. It's hard for us U.S. folks who are like, we will pay you money for this stuff. It's really hard for us to get it. It's just the nature of it. I mean, I was so happy when was it Yurikon who organized that thing to get copies of the Even a Monkey Can Understand the Tokyo Youth Ordinance Bill manga over?
Yes, that was Erica.
Erica Friedman was fantastic, and it's like that's the only chance we get of getting these things.
Yeah, I was glad to do that. Yeah, I'm hoping Amazon Japan will have the postcard sets again.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll have the postcard sets, and we can again, like a bunch of us could pool our money together to kind of save on the shipping and pick up some copies. As far as that auction goes, though, I mean, God, I can't imagine what people are going to pay. I mean, imagine getting an original sketch from Rumiko Takahashi.
Totally.
I mean, I actually was lucky. I'm not a big Lupin fan. I actually had an original sketch from Monkey Punch because he was here at DC.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah, I was there for that. Yeah,
I was there too. Cool.
Yeah, I got. He did a headshot. He did a Lupin headshot, which I ended up selling on eBay. But years later, well, it was sitting in the back of my. But here's the thing, though. It was sitting in the back of my closet, and I just looked at it one day and went, you know, there are like real Lupin fans out there who would love this.
Yeah.
It's like it's a crime for me to be having this sit in the bottom of a box in the back of my closet.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Put it up on
the only question would be, what are you for, red or green?
Well, I choose blue. I actually like Miyazaki's version of Lupin.
Definitely. But there's like a huge fan division of red versus green, though. Like seriously, like if you ever bring that up, red versus green, and you're actually dealing with actual Lupin fans, a fight could go down.
The thing is, I read the entire first run of Lupin when Tokyo Pop brought him out.
Yeah.
The first time. One of the things, though, that they don't tell you is it's not, when he did the original series, it wasn't a continuing storyline.
Yeah. It was
each
episodic.
chapters are individual stories, and then what he would do is he would change the characters' relationships chapter to chapter.
Oh wow!
So the exceptions were like Lupin was always the thief, and Zenigata was always the cop. But you might, I mean, and since nobody's telling you like what the setup of the thing is, it was really hard to read it because you're like, wait a minute. In the last chapter, Fujiko was Lupin's pal.
Yeah.
Now she's helping the cops, and what's going on, man?
Yeah, that is weird. That's certainly weird.
That's cool. I now want to pick that up, just for the whole idea of, here are basically a whole bunch of different Lupin universes. That's really interesting. That's a neat idea.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the concept, then you can go back and read it for what it is.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that also he was writing it as a very seinen series, so you have to get ready for Lupin to, force women to have sex. He has no problem with that. He kills people.
Yeah.
It's not the lovable. I mean, the thing is, if you saw, like, my first experience was the Miyazaki, the lovable rogue who has who has a sense of honor. Then you read the actual original manga and you go, oh wow, this is not wow.
Yeah.
That was Miyazaki's version. Okay.
Yeah. You're like, wow, I can't believe all the stuff he did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Monkey Punch. And now, when was Monkey Punch drawing all this? Was that the 70s?
That is the 70s.
Okay, so the Gekka movement was in full force. So you had all of that, serious. We're going to do adult-oriented stuff, and it's one of the interesting things actually about that whole period is you had all sorts of, there was such that division between different things. There was this idea that we're going to completely go in this other direction. And there's some stuff where it's like you didn't really need to go that far, but fair enough.
And being somebody who's reading, Vertical is bringing out a lot of the Tezuka stuff from that period.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if and for me, my first exposure was like Astro Boy. So yeah, when you go from Astro Boy to let's say Mew, oh my god, you're like whoa. And Mew is one of the ones where it actually has a really dark ending. So it's not just a case. I mean, there is like at the end of Mew, there is like no, you can't like justify it by saying, oh, at least the bad guys, got their comeuppance. It's like, no. It's just that one I'm still trying to figure. I'd like to do a review of it, but I still haven't figured out what I think about it because it's just so dark and so grim, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, I'd love to read. I'll have to pick that up because one of the things I love about Tezuka is it's like shonen.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this other stuff, and it goes off. I was reading a review of Apollo's Song, which if you guys don't know, this is the Tezuka series, which includes the Valley of Procreation, whatever it is. They stumble across a valley where basically all the creatures are in there procreating, for lack of a better word.
Oh, right.
Wow. And this is some big symbolism.
The Meadow of Love, yes.
The Meadow of Love, thank you. And it's just, there's lots of that stuff in there. And it's also very symbolic, kind of a lot of symbols in there. And it's just, I remember reading a review of somebody who said, I read Astro Boy, and then this. And I have no idea what to believe about Tezuka now. He really went all over the place. It's the neat thing about him.
So, and Apollo Song is the one now that I recommend for his adult work. It's the one I would give to anybody who hasn't read his stuff before because it covers it's very episodic. Part of the structure of Apollo Song is the lead character has these visions of different time periods, and where he's different characters because he's trying to learn the lesson of what it means to actually love someone. Yeah. And so I tell people, I'm like, you get robots. One story is essentially an adult version of Astro Boy with all the Astro Boy themes in it. You get one version that with the Meadow of Love that is very similar to stuff he was doing in Buddha. Yeah. In one version, you get is very similar to just his Gekkaka stuff in general. Yeah. So I was like, when I sat down and thought about it, I said, if you're going to give him one volume and say, this has got all the major themes. Yeah. Although interesting enough, none of his standard characters show up in the work. Other than the fact that the star system isn't in this. Read this. If this interests you, if there's stuff in here you like, then tell me which stories really hit with you, and then I can show you the other series where he expands upon those ideas a lot.
Yeah. Tezuka is great for just there's so much there. There is. Yeah, you can totally say, okay, I like Tezuka, but I like these aspects or these aspects. He's just god of manga for a reason.
Yes.
I like Cyborg 009.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Done by one of his assistants, actually.
Yeah, well, actually, if for anything produced in the '60s, I think that's everybody's description at that point.
True.
How did you get your start? I was an assistant to Tezuka. Oh, okay. Well, you club, man. We're all here.
Yeah. Well, his studio, had like 20 or 30 assistants at any given time. So
oh yeah.
It was crazy. It's one of the reasons why he produced however many hundreds of thousands of pages of manga in his lifetime.
Have you gotten Helen McCarthy's book?
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Did you watch that? That DVD is insane.
Oh, I need to watch that. I haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh my God, it's amazing because it's actually the only time he let a television crew into his studio.
Whoa.
And what they did was they set up all these cameras because what it is he rents. I'm not sure how it exactly works. I think in one building he rents an apartment, and then the other building is where his office is.
Okay.
But in the apartment, that's where he works, and he works apart from everybody else.
Okay.
And so they set up all these cameras in that little apartment to show you what he does, like essentially during the weekday, because he lives in that apartment during the week, and I think he goes home at like the weekend. And then they go over and they show you what the office is like with all the assistants. And this was done about 5 or 6 years before he died. Mm-hmm. So it's late in his career, and by that time he had like literally a bookshelf of reference material.
Wow.
Where he would do the main characters, and then all the background stuff was done by his assistants, and he would just write in the margins. He'd say, "Grass number 6." Cityscape number 7, and they would just pull the book out, look at the reference, and go, "Okay, well, that's what he wants."
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, "Oh my, what an insane system."
That's good. Well, that's what they did on Astro Boy, basically.
Yeah.
Although it wasn't background number 6, it was more, another black background here.
Exactly. Hey, where's that cell that we used last week? Bring it back. Give me that thing. Don't erase anything.
Which one? No, the cell that we used last week.
Yeah, that's true. We only used 4. Can't you get them? Bring them over here, man.
They're falling apart. They'll be fine for a while. You gotta love old anime when they were still trying to figure out all this stuff.
Oh my God. Yes.
So let's see here. So coming back around to the charity thing, there was this very interesting thing done by the One Piece podcast, where they had a 24-hour podcast raising over $30,000 for charity for the earthquake. And Ed, I know you were on there.
Yeah, I got to be on at a little after the halfway point at Sunday morning. So it was funny because it was great talking to them, and I got them just before they hit the crash, apparently.
Okay.
Because about an hour after I had been on, after they talked to Bill Flanagan, who's a translator for manga, I recorded the rest of it because I couldn't sit and watch the rest of it, and so I was listening to it on my listening to the MP3 of it, and by the time that Zach and the ANN crew got on there, those dudes were really punchy. It was great though. It was really fun to listen to.
I can imagine anytime you have anyone on, Zach with anyone who's punchy, that would make it just doubly more interesting.
Yes.
So what was what was the format of it? I didn't learn about it until after it was over. How was it set up?
They live broadcast for 24 hours. They essentially this was last weekend, they just asked people if they would come on, and so it was a mix of podcasters and voice actors, and then they had some industry people come on, and just depending on how long of a slot you wanted, they did anything from half an hour to an hour, and Wendy Lee was on, and Steve Bloom was on, ANN, AWO. Anime World Order was on, so
that's cool.
it was a good mix of people, and I listened to various times listened to it. And then this weekend, they're doing something tomorrow, and I think it's all pretty much voice actors and then a couple of podcasters.
Cool.
So,
nice.
and they left it open. They were like, just whatever you want to come on and talk about for half an hour, we're open to doing that, and let's just do it.
Cool.
The fun part was listening to them talk to Steve Bloom.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, and I don't blame them because they're all fanboys, and they were like, oh my God, I grew up listening to your voice on all these different shows, and you've played all the characters that I've really loved, and they were just having a really hard time like trying to keep it together, not just go like, what's up? So
I love Mike Spiegel. Yeah,
that's right. You're the best. Oh my God. So
I imagine Crispin Freeman was kind of like that too.
Say it, Bong! Say it!
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Zoom out for 6 minutes.
So, yeah, and like I said, their original goal was 25,000, and they ended up raising 31,000. And it was
really good.
Like, wow. Because it was just a question of, I think Wendy Lee was somebody who heard about it early. She was able to get like the other voice actors on. It was
nice.
Yeah, it was just a wonderful congruence of people coming together to do something, and then of course the other one is the one run by Daniela over at All About Manga.
Yeah.
And that one's going to Doctors Without Borders. Yeah, and she's doing a lot of good stuff over there too. So it's been really encouraging to see fandom kind of step up to the plate and do all these charity events.
That's one of the really amazing things is there's been a stunning number of groups coming together. Typically with this, when you have a fandom like this, you'll get folks asking for donations, you get people talking about it, but to see the amount of organization that's gone on to really put these things together, assemble podcasts like this. Folks have really gotten behind it in a way that's not just, I've given my $10 or whatever, and I'm done. It's been really amazing seeing the community gather together and really do stuff, not just talk about it.
Right. Yeah, and LA has done a couple of events now, and Japan Society in New York has done some events. So yeah, it's been some really nice stuff. I'm hoping. It'll be interesting to see, because Anime Boston's coming up, if they're going to put something together.
Yeah.
As well as Otakon and some. It's kind of interesting because Otakon's focus this year, part of their charity was going to be a memoriam for Satoshi Kon.
Oh yeah.
And so I know they were gearing up to do that. So it'll be interesting to see them do that, and then probably put something together for tsunami relief victims too.
Yeah, totally. Good to see. All right, moving on. Something else we wanted to talk about, which was quite interesting, is the Iron Man anime, which I know some of us have seen. And we have confirmation that it will be airing on G4 Tech TV in the summer. And the thing that kind of raised an eyebrow for me, I just finished watching the Iron Man anime completely legally, and
streamsthekey.com.
Yes, and the thing is, one of the big threats in the series, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but one of the big threats is an arc reactor in Japan being damaged and leaking radiation everywhere. Yeah. That's a big, what if worry and so forth and so on. So, that's over several episodes, that kind of is just going to happen. So I'm not sure if it's the wisest thing for them to air that over here.
Really? Why? Honestly, the majority of Americans aren't really going to care. I'm sorry, but
yeah, I was going to say subject, but
right now the biggest concern is if the radiation from the nuclear radiation is going to hit America, and so far that's just really conservative, conspiracy Republicans really talking about that.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that, most people won't be thinking of, the disaster in Japan when they're watching the Iron Man anime, no matter what kind of prompt comes up in the middle of the anime. Even if it comes up with Japan's tsunami in the middle, they'll just be thinking, Iron Man is cool. I like Iron Man. Yeah. They won't be in the right mindset to think about it. They'll just be thinking, no matter what happens, the arc reactor thing, leaking, nuclear reactor, won't affect them in any way. So,
Yeah, it sucks that it's just from personal experience. From what I've seen, Americans in general, when it comes to a foreign disaster like this, are, I don't want to say insensitive, but they're sort of at a point where they put down their $10 and they're done. They don't think about it after that.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, with Americans, no offense, but in general, if it's not done by a human, they don't care. Like, I know it sounds a bit harsh.
The entire Western world it's not just they put the £10 or $10 down and they're done. It's they put the money down, then go watch the South Park episode that makes fun of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Kinda, yeah.
That's a really good way to put it. That's a lot how it works. We take the comedy relief and go with it, and then we're kind of over it by then. Yeah.
You were gonna say something, Matt?
I was just saying, you already can see that we've the American focus has shifted because you're not seeing CNN or talk about it as much, and you're not seeing it on the headlines of any of like the big news servers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you have to go over to the world section and kind of hunt for the news, and considering the fact that the reactor still hasn't been completely stabled or stabilized, I should say. That's kind of frustrating now because I just before the podcast or here I went over to look at CNN to get an update on the reactor and their so-called comprehensive story doesn't really give you a lot of information.
Honestly,
just an example of how little England is carrying at the moment. The only charity poster I've seen, advertising a charity poster, is one, and it's from a money exchange office. Nowhere else, no chemists, no shopping centres, nowhere. Just one poster. And it's not even a good poster, it's a printout.
Yeah.
On black and white paper.
I'm going on the BBC News website now to see if there's anything there, but literally, if you... Basically, it's even stupid though, because if you could go to someone, say the reactor suddenly there's a massive threat that was about to blow up today, I bet you if you went to a British person who went, did you hear about the news? They would go, yes, Oxford did beat Cambridge in a rowing race.
Pretty much.
I actually got very frustrated. The news, I was watching the news and there was nothing on the tsunami because Chris Brown threw a chair out a window.
Not only that, but also the main news isn't the tsunami, but it's actually what happened in Libya and all the reporters trying to cover that. It's just honestly with news today it's like a cue tsunami, Libya, okay, and
that was actually the
actually, something I just remembered. When the tsunami happened and Obama was talking about it, he talked about it. Sent his wishes to him, and then went on to this talk about gasoline, completely putting out the tsunami, talking more about gas prices and offshore drilling. I'm just like, wasn't this about the tsunami and our reaction? He actually did, say our thoughts and prayers with them. We're sending them all the help we can over there that we can muster, and then it just went on the gas prices, kind of randomly. I don't know how this applies to gas prices.
It's actually one of the things that really got to me is that before the Japanese disaster, Egypt and Libya were front page news, blah blah blah. The disaster happened, all that disappeared.
Right.
And then we got the Japan disaster stuff, and that, I totally understand that, but it's all that stuff just suddenly vanished from the face of the earth for a week. Then Libya sort of spun up, and so the disaster disappeared, and Libya, is now the big thing. And it's kind of I would appreciate a more,
at least in America, we don't know how to balance.
Yeah.
We just take the big thing, overcover it, and then drop it completely.
Yeah.
We don't balance it out and say, like, okay, here's what's happening in Japan, here's what's happening in Libya, and here's what's happening in America. We just wipe it all off to the side and pick one.
O.J. Simpson! Need I say more?
I'm looking on the BBC News website here, looking through the entirety of the front page.
Yep.
Nothing.
Wow.
See,
Anyway, I thought America was mostly covering
protests.
Charlie Sheen's recent
True.
That is true.
So wait, I'm going to show you the things that have appeared here before Japan on the BBC, okay? So, anti-cuts protest, Libyan advance westwards, synopsis find human remains, something in Switzerland, Sri Lanka knockout jaded England in cricket, hundreds stop on East Coastline, Oxford surge to boat race victory, scan uncovers 40 smuggled snakes, Wales 0, England 2.
You're laughing, but by God, 40
and of course,
discovered snakes.
the most important of all of them, annual health survey is under threat.
Yeah.
Well, I can understand, like, I know we're going slightly off anime, but, just the last point is, I can understand covering, like, Libya and stuff, because that's a threat of war.
Absolutely.
That's a big, big, big thing. War is bad. War is big, bad menace.
They're always at war.
Japan is kind of, it's, the issue in Japan, not to, put it to the side, is a sort of static thing. The nuclear reactor is broken. That's really it. They're trying to fix it. And then in Libya, there's a lot of things going on. Not to say which is better, but Libya is. I can understand why they focus on it.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Not the Charlie Sheen stuff. But
But the thing is, even on here on the BBC, I've gone to that Asia Pacific bit. Okay. Do you want to hear the most Japanese thing that there is on the Asia Pacific section of the news on this bit at the moment?
Yeah.
Japan nuclear operator criticized.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
They've shut off the live stream of coverage. They've just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
They've just not cared after 3 days, really.
Yeah.
So there we go.
What I wanted to talk about was the fact that maybe they shouldn't put the Iron Man anime first, just because how slow in the beginning it is. And maybe they should have waited and waited for the dub of the Wolverine anime, just because it's much more powerful from the beginning.
Well, just sort of on the same side of that, the reason why they're probably not concerned about the issue of the arc reactor in the show is because
not the arc reactor. That's Iron Man, you idiot.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The Iron Man.
Okay, I thought you meant like in reality.
No, I'm talking about what Brent said about the arc reactor leaking being an issue.
Yeah.
Anyway, is because how often do they show a show a week? Once. I don't know how many episodes it is into the arc reactor, but it's more than enough weeks, I'm guessing, not for the issue to have died down, but to either have been fixed or gone horribly, horribly, horribly wrong.
True.
Yeah. So they've got more than enough time to decide if they're going to cut those episodes or not.
With the news, it's after 2 weeks, and then you're fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Unless it's South Park, then it's after 5 minutes. Then you can make a joke about it.
Yeah.
South Park is 6 minutes. They're a little nicer. Both got awful shows, but that's not the point.
Anyway. Alright, well, I think that is it for the news items that we particularly wanted to cover. Anything else, guys?
Nope.
That's it for me.
Cool. Alright.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Alright, well, thank you all for joining me. Thank you first and foremost.
Question.
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
Question of the week.
Question of the week. Thank you very much.
I always have to remind you, Brent.
You always have to remind me. So every week we ask.
Like you had always started it all, Brent, and you can never remember the damn thing.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. So every week we ask folks to tell us to answer a question for us. And the question this time, if I can get up to the list here, was what is your favorite image in anime?
Image.
Specific, visual image that really got to you. We got the first one was from Matt Ostelder, or Matt Osty in the chat room. His favorite moment in anime is in Evangelion, the TV series. It is after the use of the dummy plug.
You better not steal mine now.
It is after Gendo orders use of the dummy plug. When we see Toji, when Shinji sees Toji, I'll put it that way, and he screams. He said, for whatever reason, that just sticks with me, that particular moment. Which I agree. He has one other, but there's only you only get one this time. Then we had one other from a John Smith, who couldn't pick one, which is actually a little interesting, because he goes in and he says, at first I thought it would be easy to come up with an answer. There's lots of great scenes in anime, but that's the point. What you remember are usually not single pictures, but entire scenes. Now if you take all that away and look at just one single picture from a particular remarkable scene, you'll still get a similar emotional feeling, because the picture reminds you of that scene. But if you show that picture to someone else, he'll just shrug his shoulders. So his view is that really, those images taken out of context really don't have much meaning, which I think is a is a fair point. What about you guys? Do you guys have a favorite image from anime?
I definitely
really stuck between two.
All right, how about you, Matt?
Well, it's actually from our first, real anime series as well, Outlaw Star. It's kind of hard to explain this without going into spoiler territory, but I guess I'm going to have to, so I apologise. Harry McDougal is an antagonist Call of Cthulhu. Antagonist of the series. But there is a moment where he becomes a good guy and he stands up for the woman he loves, Melfina. And this just really told me what, I don't know what it told me, but it just scared the crap out of me and just made me think about everything. And I was like 11 at the time. And Harry McDougal, this you get to watch an image of a dude psychically breaking every single bone in Harry McDougal's body. And you see the blood, you see him collapse, and it happens so fast, but in your mind it happens so slow. And I was just watching this awestruck and amazed, just watching this dude get brutally, the worst way to die, having every single bone in your body snapped, and just blood flying out of you. And it was just, I had to stop watching it there and just think, just for hours. And I watched, again, when I rewatched Outlaw Star recently, I just watched that and I was like, wow, this used to be so much. This scene used to be so much longer when I was a child. Again, I used to think it was really long, but now when I rewatch it, it's like 4 seconds of snap, 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 dead. But yeah, it's just, that's always stuck in my mind. Even in that massive gap of watching Outlaw Star, I can always remember that scene, and I will always remember that scene of seeing Harry McDougal torn to shreds.
Yeah. By the way, if you get snap, 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 you really need to shuffle your deck.
I'm not good at that game. I'm just not good at reacting.
Zan, how about you?
Alright, that's a nice boat. I was originally going to say, since I watched it so recently, Evangelion, but since someone already said it, I want to be original and bring up a new series, and I just thought of one. This image definitely sticks in my mind. One Piece, Ainz Lobby Arc. So the scene is basically Nico Robin, and Nico Robin, so far the whole series, she's been cold, not even cold, like somewhat like she hides her true intent. She's very intelligent, very smart, even a very capable fighter and assassin, might I add. She is she is basically going with the Marines. To this super kind of like uber prison, and basically where she'll eventually get executed and die, and she's doing it for reasons that she doesn't explain to the Straw Hats to protect them, and this is obviously all explained. However, the Straw Hats heroically come to rescue her, and she's like, I want to die, let me die. And then Luffy gives you this big speech saying, you're not speaking what you truly mean. Now say that you want to live, because they're all behind you. Basically, Robin's just I can't believe you guys are freaking doing this. And they even burn the Navy flag, which obviously pisses them off. Basically, a declaration of war. So just not believing that they're doing this, just burst into tears, which is just a first from Nico, and just screams, "I want to live."
Nice.
And it's just a very powerful scene, both in the manga and the anime.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Miniman?
I'm going to sort of quickly cover one, but there's sort of like two, because I'm having a real trouble trying to pick between them.
Yeah.
Because one's really powerful because it's sort of almost shock, and one's just really powerful because it's just, like, wow. So just quickly covering the first one, because you may have guessed this. Elfin lied straight after the dog scene. Very famous scene in which a dog of one of the girls is brutally beaten to death, and it's absolutely harrowing. And basically, this young girl just explodes with her powers, pretty much. And instead of seeing the full violence of it, you just have this kind of sound. It just shows the room with this little crying girl standing in it, and just the amount of blood that is in that room, but you aren't sure whether they deserved it or not. And
nice.
it's absolutely horrible to go, I don't know. But the other one is from The Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Nice.
And it's just this beaten up girl shouting, stop.
I knew it was that as soon as she said it.
Just
it's a brilliant image.
Stop. And I will not say what happens, but just explosion of tension. And it's just this kind of, and you are with this person just shouting, stop. And it is one of the most incredible moments of anime I've ever seen. Just a close-up of a person's face. There you go.
Yeah, totally.
It is really an amazing image,
Yeah, an amazing film. Brad, how about yourself?
There are so many, but there are two that stick out in my mind. One, which will be easier to explain, is the end of Clanad After Story. The scene where Ushio, the main character's daughter, is just in his arms in the snow. That stops me in my tracks. The other one, which is more of a scene than an image, is from the same series, and it's where Tomiya is over Nagisa while she's laying in bed singing Dango to the baby.
Nice. Ed, I know this is sort of short notice. Do you have a particular image that sticks out in your head?
Quickly think now. The one that, I guess the one that always comes to mind first for me is the parade scene from Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence. Because if you ever get a chance to see that on a theater-sized screen,
gosh,
holy cow! I was blown away by the beauty and the majesty of that. And when you listen to the commentary track, it has something like 1,000 layers of digital animation. I mean, it's just it's insane, and it's Oshii at his best. When,
Great music as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's got the music, it's got the visuals. It's when Oshii and Production IG are hitting all the cylinders. God, that is just amazing. I still list that as I think the most beautiful animated film I've ever seen. The production quality on that has yet to be matched. I was trying to think. The hard part is you think of all the Miyazaki films. I mean, you can name like a million things from My Neighbor Totoro. Kiki has some great moments in it. And I was thinking of like Satoshi Kon films. I mean, I'm a huge Millennium Actress nut, and that's a film where you can list a million moments in it. The ending is probably the best, though. Just when she has that revelation of the character she played and the person she is, all melded. In that final line, it was always about the chase. It's God, anime has just so many great moments in it. It really does.
It does. And I'm going to have to go with since everyone's been doing a few, I'm going to go with 3 briefly. The first one is from Turn-A Gundam, actually, which very few people have seen, and they need to once it comes out, because And just to kind of set the stage, it starts with a couple of teenagers emigrating to Earth from the moon. And no one on Earth knows that there are actually people still on the moon. And they secretly emigrate, and they have, the main character has this little adventure. He then goes back to where their capsule is buried, and stands up, and it's the nighttime, and he raises his hands up towards the moon and says, "I love it here on Earth. This is wonderful. I'm so glad I'm here." That is then mirrored in the last episode, and I apologize for the spoilers, but there's this girl that has been sort of going on with his character for a while, and she ends up not being with him. And the final, 2 minutes of the anime is this fantastic Yoko Kanno piece, just big and brassy and just beautiful and just going all over the place. And you see where each of these characters end up. You see this person on a farm, this person doing this, and this person doing that. And you cut to this one character back at home with her mother, just sort of doing her stuff, and living alone, doing her stuff. And then you see her bike out to actually where this guy had buried this thing, which she had seen, and she goes up there and she screams. And it's one of the most painful moments I've ever seen in anime, because she's gone through all this stuff and she's alone. It didn't work out, and it's this wonderful buffering thing. And then the other one, there's one actually from Now and Then Here and There, which is the final shot of the first episode. But the one that really sticks in my mind, I think, if I have to do it, and the problem here is this is sort of imagery, is Rurouni Kenshin OVA. The original Rurouni Kenshin OVA, the beginning of the second episode deals with, the entire series deals with an assassin who is completely dedicated to his work to the point where he's just kind of shut down. He just isn't really thinking anymore. And over the course of the first half, various stuff happens. He ends up having to basically go away and live in hiding for a while. And at the beginning of the second half, it shows him chopping wood. And he's bringing his axe down, and every time the axe comes down and hits the wood, he sees, or rather, we cut briefly to an image that we've seen of him killing somebody. And there's no emotion on his face, but you see this coming down, it hits the wood, and we see, a sword slash through somebody's body. And then he picks another piece of wood, puts it down, slashes into somebody's body. And it gives you that idea that suddenly what has been this brilliant action story of this trained assassin, he's killing all these people, all of a sudden he's seeing this and realizing, this isn't good for me. And it's one of these images that sticks in your mind because it is such a contrast to what's come before. What you thought was this action story is now turning into this dramatic story about the choices we make. So that just really, really got to me when I saw it. But like you say, there's so many. It's really hard to choose.
Can I just quickly say that I sort of forgot about when I was talking, I just want to quickly mention it. If ever you want to see what I would consider the most perfect 2 minutes of anime ever, watch the opening to the film Origins Spirits of the Past.
I've heard that a lot.
I think it is the most fantastic. It's just a melding of this beautiful science and nature imagery, and it's slow, and it's this music which has this wonderful nature feel, and then you just see sort of these needles in plants and all that, and this really science fiction-y thing, and it just melds with this wonderfully naturistic setting. And while I will say that the entire rest of the film is complete average menace, I will say that I still hold today that the best moment in anime for me ever is the opening scene to Origin Spirits of the Past. Just search it on YouTube or something, anyone who's watching this, and comment on something, because I think it is absolutely fantastic, and I can't believe I forgot about saying that in the thing.
Nice. So your question for next week, for those of you watching, let me know your answer to the following question. What is an anime character that you started out hating and ended up loving?
Oh, got an example. I didn't say anything, did I? I just said I have a good example.
Okay, good.
I'm just going to mine end up liking and hate them by the end of it.
Yeah. All right.
So we trouble.
So that'll be the question for you all to answer next week. Email me at brent@otakunovideo.net and let me know what your response is, or post a comment on this video. So I want to thank very much Ed Sizemore for joining us this week. Thank you very much, Ed.
Well, thanks for having me.
Sure. What are you working on these days? What's coming up soon?
Hopefully soon will be a written review for volumes 12 and 13 of 20th Century Boys.
Wow, nice.
That marks the middle of the series, and I kind of want to hopefully do a kind of retrospective of what's been great about the series so far. And it's a series I highly recommend. It's just amazing.
And long.
It is long. It's 23 volumes, and but it's so worth it.
Yeah, I'm like 6 volumes.
It's one of those series, though. Unfortunately, I think is never going to have a big audience.
Yeah.
Because the cast is too large, and you're jumping between 3 to 4 different time frames in any volume, and so it's brilliant on that level because he really does hold everything together well. But I can see people thinking that's a little bit too much for them to try to keep straight.
Yeah, totally. Well, great. I look forward to seeing that. And thank you, Matt, for joining us. What's coming up next on the Life and Tims of Anime?
Coughs, apparently.
Okay, yeah.
We've recorded most of it this week. In March, that's what this month is. Well done, Matthew. There is a review of the anime Infinite Stratos, the harem mecha. You will find out mine and Toho Izumi's opinions on that. I'm trying to describe it without getting my opinions out there, so I'll just say that harem mecha. And also a review of Kongo Bonshoda. Apparently,
Matt, you're doing it wrong. It's Kongo Bonshoda.
Yes, you will hear that like...
It doesn't matter!
It does, Miniman. It really does.
I said Gus, therefore it's fine.
Yes, those are the reviews. Also, we will be featuring... I mean, this is for the ONV people. The actual thing is we will be featuring an advert for what we're doing right now.
Cool.
ONV.
Nice.
Brent has supplied us with an amazing... Actually, I've listened to the ad 15 times. I love it.
No.
So,
It's the voice.
When you play the podcast and listen to it, try and listen to the rest of the podcast, because halfway through when you hear that ad, don't keep going back, because that's what I did, and I was there for about an hour, just listening over and over and over, because it's awesome. But yeah, and at the end we've got a little segment from our manga aficionados at Rising Zan, and that is it for the March month. And ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure being here, it's a pleasure entertaining you and being entertained by you. Yes, that's the right word. And meeting an awesome Ed Sizemore. He's on the right to me. I don't know where he is on the live stream, so I'll just point that way and bow. Thank you for coming on to the show.
Oh, well, thanks. It was a pleasure meeting all of you guys. I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
No, it's great fun, man.
Yeah. Miniman, thanks for joining us. What's coming up next for you? Anything new?
Just as always, waiting for the avatars. No, me and Ashlinks are heavy planning for the Always Review Centre at the moment.
Okay.
Trying to find sort of new funny directions for that, and sort of things we can do to try and keep it nice and entertaining, but still as informative as ever. I've got about 1,000 new ideas, and I'm currently on an epic hunt for a capture card, so I can do my new idea called Otaku Achievements. When that comes out, it'll be epically funny and hilarious. So until I get a capture card and until Microsoft release something, which they said they would have released a month ago, which they didn't, then there we go. And just for the sake of it, to make one person happy, King Metal, we thank you for your support.
There we go. and Zan, thank you for joining us as well. Anything new on Otaku Underground?
Yes, quite a few things, but right now I have to say I'm really disappointed that Lenky Giza didn't get a message this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're scared.
Anyway, Underground, we've been having me, Cutting, and Shonen Maker have been having some meetings together. Shonen Maker needs to give me a title card. Basically, like she has a symbol down. It looks awesome, by the way. Just like a title card for just like an Otaku Underground symbols for me to put up when I'm talking, so I can do this review, not review, but like a top recommended anime of the winter season. That'll be my first actual work. Won't get any camera work though, since it's behind the camera. I want to do that, and that should be my first work as Otaku Underground video-wise.
Cool. Yeah, look forward to that. And thank you, Brad, also for joining us for the first time. What's coming up new? Anything new, fun to talk about here?
It was great being here, and mostly I'm just trying to find different ways to get affiliate programs to work, because that seems like the best way to get ONV up and going.
Yeah, cool. Should be fun. All right, well, thank you all for joining me. And yes?
There's one person you've forgotten to thank, and I think now that there's so many people on the show, I think this is the one time we should thank this person for being on.
Yes.
Brent, you can't thank yourself, so I think we should thank you for being on this show and running this show.
Thank you, Brent. Anyway, everyone, round of applause for Brent.
Very well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a lot of fun. All right.
This has been going for about half a year now, and I'm just going to pretend that it's the half-year anniversary now. You've been bloody amazing, man.
Thank you.
Wait, like high school is like saying the half-year anniversary. What is this?
Roughly, whatever.
It's around about the half-year anniversary, actually.
Yeah, roughly.
Well, still,
Somewhere around.
Yeah.
An anniversary is 1 year, but whatever. I'm getting too typical.
Half-anniversary.
It's the first month anniversary, duh!
Happy unanniversary. All right, thank you all guys very much. See you next time. Take care.
Sayonara, bye-bye.